Welcome to Raptorisms over Crystallis, Episode 3. Where we last left off, I had just gotten the Sword of Fire, which is the second of our 4 elemental swords, and also I'd gotten the Insect Flute, which is the item that I need in order to summon the boss of this stage. However, in order to actually take on the boss and cause any damage, I'm going to need to grind up to at least experience level 5. As you can see right now, I'm at experience level 3, and even with the Sword of Fire, I can't cause any damage to the insects in this forest. So I'm going to head out for now and grind outside. Alright, so if I take on these mushroom guys over here, I can kill them in just one hit. It's extremely efficient for leveling up. However, there aren't that many of them around, so at least I need to take on some other enemies or head to another part of the stage. But while I'm here, let's take a look at what happens if I try to enter Mount Saber through the north. So I jump through this poison patch over here, and I don't think I can cause any damage to these blobs either. Nope, I can't. And if I try to enter through the north, it tells me that I can't climb this yet. I don't have enough power to make it. Now, the funny thing about that is it has nothing to do with your power level or anything like that. It's because you don't have the spell of teleport yet. And later on, not too far from now, you're going to get the spell of teleport in the western part of Mount Saber. Now, when I was a kid, I would sometimes use this cheat code teleport spell that would let you access parts of the game that you didn't have access to yet, and also there would be no magic point cost. So it was really fun to use. However, sometimes it would screw things up. What you would do is you would press A and B on the first player controller and A on the second player controller, and if you did that, you would go through one of like 10 or so locations that weren't official teleport locations, which are usually towns. Now the thing is, if you use that kind of spell and you spoke to people later in the game who you hadn't met at the proper locations earlier in the game, then if you tried to go back to those earlier locations, the people wouldn't be there. So what would happen is, when you try to learn the spell of teleport from Tornell in Mount Saber, if you teleported later in the game and spoke to him at a different location, and then you tried to come back to Mount Saber to get teleport, he wouldn't be there, and so you'd never actually learn the spell of teleport. Now this is just a convenient spell for the most part. You don't actually need it against any bosses or to get past any levels or anything like that, but if you don't have it, you can't enter Mount Saber properly through the north, and what I had to do actually back then is I would have to play that level kind of backwards and enter through the rear exit. Now, back then, I actually leveled up to level 16, which is the highest level of the game, and even then, I couldn't enter Mount Saber through that northern passage, so it has nothing to do with power level, it has everything to do with whether you have the spell of teleport or not. Alright, so now I've just rested up at the inn, I've replenished my life force and magic points, so let me head back out into the world and try to take on some more enemies to get up to level 5. I'm not that far from level 4 right now, actually. I have 141 out of 150 magic points, so probably 2 enemies will do it. The first guy I'm going to come across right here, this guy is still really inefficient to take on. 3 hits with the Sword of Wind or the Sword of Fire, so it doesn't really matter here, but here I take on a mushroom, just 1 hit kills it, and now I'm up to level 4. Alright, so I'm just going to fight a bunch of mushrooms from now on and try to get up to level 5. And while we do that, let's move on to today's rant, which is going to be on Nausicaä of the Valley of the Wind, because we're dealing with a level that's basically a direct ripoff of that movie. And while we're at it, let's talk a little bit about Studio Ghibli, because those two are kind of inseparable. You know, Ghibli is the studio that made Nausicaä of the Valley of the Wind, and Ghibli is an extremely famous and beloved animation studio in Japan, so I figured I should comment on it here or there. Now, you can kind of think of Ghibli as Japan's Disney, except to be perfectly honest, I would say that Disney is Japan's Disney. Disney is extremely huge over here. All the kids watch Disney movies the way they watch Ghibli movies. But in any case, if you're a kid growing up in Japan, you are watching Ghibli movies as you grow up. These movies are beloved to you. And so they're kind of hard for me to criticize, especially if Japanese people are listening. But to be perfectly honest, I have no interest in Ghibli movies, in much the same way that I have no interest in Disney movies. In my view, they're for children. In much the same way that Disney movies are for children. Like, I'm not going to go out of my way to watch a Disney movie, much the same way I'm not going to go out of my way to watch a Ghibli movie either. And the thing is, every single time I've watched a Ghibli movie in my life, I've watched it with someone else who kind of held a gun to my head and forced me to watch it. You know, back when I watched Nausicaä for the first time, that was like 10 years ago, my girlfriend at the time was absolutely appalled that I hadn't watched it yet and sat me down and made me watch it. And if you go even farther back to when I was in college, my roommate at the time, the guy whose nickname was Ghetto, if you really want to go back into the lore of my website, he sat me down and made me watch this whole Ghibli movie marathon. And these movies are fine, like critically they check all the usual checkboxes. They have good plots, they're well animated, they have good characters, and yet there's so much positivity and pureness of heart and wonder and whimsy and all this stuff that really appeals to children but not to adult men. I really have no interest in any of that, and so I generally don't watch these movies. Now, when Japanese people find out that I like anime, one of the first questions I get is, "Oh, you must like Ghibli movies, right?" and I kind of have to dodge that question because the truth is I don't really care. Though I suppose that's better than what would happen in the US. I mean, if someone in the US finds out that you're an anime fan just casually, and they don't know much about it themselves, they'll jump to one or two conclusions. Either you're kind of into Pokemon or Hamtaro or something like that, or you're into hentai, so you can't win either way. In the US, you basically never want to tell anyone that you're an anime fan unless they reveal it to you first that they're an anime fan as well. So long story short, I really don't have any interest in Ghibli movies. However, if I had to pick a favorite, it would be Nausicaa of the Valley of the Winds, and this probably has a lot to do with the connection to Chrysalis. I mean, right now we're walking through this poison forest, we're fighting against insects, I have to wear a gas mask, later I'm going to use this insect flute, and I'm going to fight an insect that looks like the Omu insect, or I don't know what they call it in English, but the giant insect with the glowing red pearls on its back. Anyway, like I said, the first time I watched it was about 10 years ago, and I just had the opportunity to rewatch it because it aired on TV on Christmas in Japan, just the way Jesus would have wanted, I'm sure. So first, let's talk about what I like about this movie. Alright, so the setting first and foremost is extremely interesting. You know, it makes a really good setting for a video game as well. You have that whole poison forest, you have that layer beneath the poison forest, you have that valley by the sea. Pretty much any location you go to in this movie is kind of fascinating. The plot's also reasonably good, and I consider myself a plot guy first and foremost, so if I like the plot of a movie, I should like the work as a whole. Now here we have that whole story about what happened long ago to destroy the world, those giant monsters, you know, this poison forest and how it's not actually destroying the world but actually saving it along with the insects inside. That is an interesting story. But where I kind of find myself bored with this movie is the characters. The character you're supposed to get behind is Nausicaa herself, but she is such a goody two-shoes boring character, the same kind of lead you have in every single Ghibli movie. There's no conflict there, she's just doing everything so perfectly and so purely, it makes me sick. Then you have a bunch of generic old men, generic old women, generic enemy soldiers. No one in this movie really stands out at all, and I couldn't care less about them. So to sum things up, basically every single character in this movie is boring and generic and replaceable. But other than that, I really don't have any other complaints, so this is as good as Ghibli is ever gonna get for me. Alright, so let's get back to the game here. I'm gonna keep trying to kill these mushroom enemies until I get up to level 5. Like I said, these are one-hit kills with the Sword of Fire, and there really aren't any other enemies in this particular area of the stage, so I can keep just walking around until they respawn, and I'm not gonna put myself in much danger. Now, I went back into the poison forest just a little while ago to see if I could easily kill those insects at level 4. But as a kid, I never leveled up in there because even if I could kill them easily, I'd still have to equip the gas mask. And if I do that, I can't equip the rabbit boots, I can't use refresh, I can't do a whole bunch of other things that might help me in battle. So instead, I'm just going to work my way out here and kill these enemies until I get to level 5, which would just be another 2 or 3 of them. Alright, so let me kill these guys over here. Alright, let me kill this guy over here, and now I'm at level 5. This is the minimum required level to take on the boss of this stage, and I would say there's absolutely no need to grind up to level 6, because this is probably the single easiest boss in the whole game. So you can easily take care of him at level 5, there's no need to grind up to level 6, especially if it's going to take you another 700 magic points. Beat the boss first, then go to Mount Saber, you can get those experience points much more easily over there. And now that I've saved up, let's see what I got here. 43 magic points, most of my health. I think I'm going to splurge a little bit and go to the inn in Oak instead of the inn over here. The inn in this town was $20, the inn in Oak I believe is $40, which at this point in the game is still kind of a lot of money, but there's a good chance I'm going to get injured on the way there, so I may as well, yeah, just like right now, I just got injured from these projectiles, so no, I definitely need to stop by the inn at Oak, and once I save up there, the boss is basically right around the corner in the poison forest, and I know my way well enough that I'm not going to get hit on the way there, most likely. For now, I have the rabbit boots equipped, it's good for jumping through this poison grass, and it's not going to completely cut down my damage, but it will take care of it almost entirely. Very late in the game, we're going to get an item called the leather boots, which is going to let me walk through this kind of poison grass or poison swamp or something like that with no trouble at all. But for now, and for most of the game, the rabbit boots are just really good to have on at any given time. Of course, when I have to go into the poison forest, I need to swap out the boots for the gas mask, which is kind of inconvenient, but once again, this boss is going to be really easy, so I'm not going to be too worried about agility during that fight. Anyway, let me head over to Oak. Doesn't really matter if I get hit along the way because I'm going to refresh anyway. Alright, should be just north of here, and yeah, there we go. So let me stop by the inn. I have $283 right now, and since I have a few leftover magic points, let me see what happens if I use telepathy. Yeah, thanks for nothing. You know, most of the time telepathy is entirely useless when you're using it to talk to the wise men. Of course, telepathy has two functions. One of those functions is for talking to creatures that aren't human, like the creatures in this village. But that's done passively. You don't actually expend any magic points when doing that. You just need to have the spell on hand. Now, when you're using it to talk to the wise men, sometimes, just once in a while, they'll actually refill your magic points. They'll give you some hints, but for the most part, they'll tell you to figure things out on your own or give you other general useless hints like that. Alright, so now that I'm saved up, let me head over to the boss. Okay, let me just, maybe I'll get a flying insect on the way over there. Okay. And yeah, just right around this corner, I'll get to the boss and I'll have to put on the insect flute in order to summon it. Now, the insect flute, once again, this is an item that was lifted almost directly from Nausicaa. Let me head right up to the edge, and here we go. Look at this right here. If you've seen Nausicaa, you know exactly what this is. And it's kind of funny now, because when I was a kid, I never actually knew anything about Nausicaa. I just thought this was some dirty old giant insect that I had to kill. But if you've seen Nausicaa, you know that these insects aren't supposed to be your enemy. They're actually protecting the environment, they're actually good-hearted, and if they send out their feelers and detect that you're actually on their side, they're not going to cause you any harm. But here, it is most definitely an enemy, and you have to kill it. Now, it just shoots straight projectiles. If you get hit by them, it does do a lot of damage, but they're really easy to avoid. You just need to wait for it to stop while it shifts from side to side, and then shoot at it with your sword beam. The more difficult thing is avoiding this little flying insect over here, which also shoots projectiles. It's not entirely possible to avoid them at all times, but it's not going to cause so much damage that you're going to be in any trouble. Just use refresh like I'm using it right now, and there you go. You killed the boss right there. So let's pick up the item over here, which is going to be an extremely useful one, the Ball of Fire. And the Ball of Fire, much like the Ball of Wind, it's not just useful for attacks, and this one, as you're going to see right now, it shoots a long beam. It's extremely useful in attacks because sometimes you can catch an enemy and get multiple hits in with just one charge. But the other advantage of this is that you can use it to break down ice walls in much the same way that you could use the Sword of Wind and the Ball of Wind to break down rock walls. Whatever sword you have equipped, you're generally going to want to walk around with the ball level charge, the level 2 charge for that sword, because one, it's going to increase your attack range and your attack ability in general, and also you can use it for useful things like breaking down ice walls, breaking down rock walls. Once you get the Sword of Water, you're going to use that to build bridges. If you're trying to get out of a sticky situation and you need to break down a wall or build a bridge or something like that, it's good to have that charge built up already so you can get right through it and escape if you need to. Alright, so as you can see right now, I can take care of these axe throwing guys with just one hit with the Ball of Fire because, well, it's one charge up, but it hits them multiple times, especially if they're walking directly towards me. Once we get to Mount Saber, we're going to fight these really slow zombie creatures on the outside world, and those guys, they'll just walk really slowly towards you. They're really good for hitting with the Ball of Fire, and that's a really good way to level up to the next power level. Now right now we're at level 5, we're going to want to get up to level 7 for the next boss, but that won't be for a while. In fact, through the western entrance to Mount Saber, there is no boss in that area, it's just a whole bunch of mazes. So there's no pressing need to level up at this point. However, you do want to save yourself a little bit of trouble later down the line. You don't want to grind just before a boss. So at this point, when you have some easy enemies to pick off with your new sword and your new ball, you may as well take care of some of them along the way. And now for one last bit of housekeeping, let me put on my newly bought bronze shield. This is not the first shield I could have gotten in the game, but it's the one that I wanted to save up for because I knew this current boss wasn't going to be any threat to me, and it's the best shield I'll be able to get for a while. So here we go, and before stopping the inn, let me use telepathy a bit, and it is as useless as ever. Kensu won't even talk to me right now, that guy's kind of a bitch, but whatever. Let me rest up at the inn now, and in the next video, we'll take on Mount Saber through the western entrance.